Hi everyone. In this video, I'll be giving you a brief tour of the MasterCFA app and showcase you how you can crush your exam prep faster. By the end of this video, you will have a very clear roadmap of how to study, what to study, and the daily habits that you need to build to compound towards exam success. So let's get some facts cleared. The CFA Level 1 exam has close to 60% fail rate, and mostly candidates fail because they are unable to learn the course curriculum faster, retain that information, and retrieve it during exam conditions. As you may know, the CFA curriculum is close to 3000 plus pages distributed across 10 volumes, ranging from quantitative methods to financial statements and analysis, alternative investments, etc. In these 10 volumes, there are 93 learning modules, which further have over 300 learning objectives. So, the curriculum is very well structured and it is a fixed bar exam, which means that your performance is not dependent on others' performance. It has no negative marking and it has only three multiple choice question options. Still, close to 60% candidates fail every year, and this is the major reason. In this video, I will show you the exact methods that have helped me pass these exams faster, how I have built those processes in a structured fashion in the Master CFA app. I'm pretty good with standardized testing despite being an average student. I have passed CFA, FR, and CAT exams back to back within the same 30-day period, which does tell you that I am able to retain and recollect information faster because all of these three exams are very different in nature. The CFA and FRM exam are more quantitative financial analysis, whereas the CAT exam is a management exam. And these exams are very different in nature as well. The CFA and FRM are selection based exams, CAT is a rejection based exam. But the important point I want to highlight is that the processes and methods that I showcase here are applicable across any exam that you give, and for that matter, in your day job as well. I have been able to use the same skill set to excel at various roles in various corporate environments. I will also put out a link on the various skills that you need to master to become a good financial analyst. So, now let me give you a brief overview of the app and how we have built the learning process. So the Master CFA app is built on a proven methodology. It's based on cognitive learning and how students actually learn faster. It has four core pillars: learn, test, analyze, and revise, which you can see here as course library, adaptive quiz, exam insights, and dash cards. These are your flashcards, but we have built them in a way that you are able to dash through them faster. Why we have built it in this fashion? Because learning without testing leads to false confidence. I have seen a lot of students just rereading the books or rewatching the videos, thinking that the familiarity that they are building with the content is directly equivalent to their performance in testing environment. That is not so. Being familiar with the content is very different than being able to articulate your thoughts around it or being able to solve questions using that content. Then testing without any analysis misses improvement opportunities. So every module that you do with us, you will have a very clear return on your time invested. You will be able to see what you started with and what was the final result and where are your opportunities to improve. The third part is analysis. Analysis without revision wastes insights. So, whatever insights you're getting from testing, you need to analyze them. You need to know your strengths and weaknesses, and you need to improve upon them. Lastly, revision. Without active recall, revision does not stick. So, you may know about active recall and spaced repetition. It is built upon the research of Ernest Ebbinghaus, who stated that within 24 hours, you forget close to 70% of the content you have read, and within a week, that further drops down to over 90%. So, you need to revise continuously so that the information sticks longer and you are able to recall and retain that information better. Before we deep dive into the actual curriculum and how we structure it, I wanted to bust some of the myths that students usually have that may be holding back your actual learning potential. So sometimes students feel that prep courses or expensive prep courses are essential for them to pass the exam. That is not necessary. You just need a guide or a coach that helps you find your strengths and weaknesses and improves it so that you can pass the exam. Your goal should be to pass the level 1 exam faster, because the level 1 exam is not the destination, it is just a starting point. You will be able to learn faster when you are actually in a role, learning from your colleagues, learning from your managers, and on real world problems. So you need to prepare to get to that role faster. And CFA Level 1 is a very good signaling tool for you to showcase to employers that you are interested in finance, and it will help you get shortlisted for interviews. That should be your goal. You need to pass the exam faster. You will not become a PhD just by doing level 1. Neither does level 1 guarantee a good investment banking job or a consulting job. You need to build the skills necessary. Two more points: long lectures or videos are not essentially better. It is ultimately you who has to retrieve information from those long videos or long PDFs, and you should be focused on a provider who can give you the essence in the shortest amount of time possible rather than spending more time. You need to get into the practice mode faster rather than being stuck in the learn mode. I've seen candidates watching videos, rewatching videos, watching videos at 1.5 speed, thinking that they are progressing through their curriculum, but that is not the case. Watching video faster is just helping you increase the familiarity with the content or increase the familiarity with whatever the teacher is saying on your screen. So you need to get into the question solving stage faster. And you don't need offline classes or hand holding, because at the end of the day, the job that you are aspiring for will require a lot of self study and a lot of analysis. Imagine you are a financial analyst working for a fund. Your investment officer comes to your desk on a Monday morning and asks you, "Hey, I am about to deploy close to 10 millions to emerging tech. Bring me some ideas in the 2 p.m. meeting." What will you do in that case? You won't get structured videos, you won't get PDFs, etc. to help you build a correct answer. You need to build these skills, which I have linked in the video above, that will enable you to become a better analyst. So we will be using the same skills that you will use on the job in the MasterCFA app while learning. Because if you are able to build upon these skills every day, when you're sitting in front of an interviewer, you will be much more confident and showcase your thinking process better. Okay, so now once your why is clear, that why do you want to pass the exam? You want to pass the exam so that you can get a job or a desired role in financial services. The next question, which I see a lot of candidates being stuck, is what to study and how to study. This part is relatively easier to solve. So let me walk you through what to study. I have seen a lot of candidates start with Volume 1, quantitative methods, or financial statement analysis because their prep provider told them, like, you need to think like an analyst and maximize your return on study time. Your time is money, and you need to build that into a habit, because you will be billed to clients on an hourly basis who will squeeze out your maximum efficiency on an hourly basis, right? So if you look at the curriculum weight as described by a CFA Institute, you can see there are two sessions, morning session and afternoon session, which is written as 1 and 2 here. Each of them constitutes of 5 volumes of the curriculum, and you can see the exam weight on the right hand side. Now look at your current state. Currently, you are probably working a full-time job or are in your final year of university or college, and you need to get to an exam state where you are able to sit through 135-minute session in the morning, just 2 hours and 15 minutes, and another 2 hours and 15-minute session in the afternoon. These sessions will test your mental stamina and fatigue. You need to go from a passive state right now of watching 90-second reels or watching YouTube videos to be able to solve a question within 90 seconds. And this transformation will actually help you pass the exam. So when you start the curriculum, you need to begin with smaller topics and build focus and momentum. Right now, you will be fighting against your naturally built habits of passively consuming content, because That's what you are doing every day, and those have become habitual. And it will be very tough to break out of that. Here is what we recommend. If you look at the morning session and the afternoon session and divide it on the percentage of exam and the questions you can expect, you will be able to see very clearly what your focus area should be. If I go into this a step further, and if you categorize the volumes based on the number of pages, the number of learning objectives, the number of important learning objectives you need to master to absolutely crush the exam, the dependencies of these volumes on other volumes, two volumes will stick out prominently: alternative investments and ethics. We start with alternative investments because, as I said, most of you are balancing a full time job or studies. After a long day, coming back and starting with complex formulas or accounting equations will put you to sleep and kill your motivation very fast. We start with alternative investments because it connects with pop culture. Think Billions, Suits, or Shark Tank, because it talks about private equity, venture capital, hedge funds. You'll be able to replace your daily passive consumption with the mechanics of these alternative investments pretty easy. You can complete it within 1 week. It contributes to 10% on the exam. Imagine completing 10% of the curriculum in less than 1 week. After completing alternative investments, the next one is ethics. It is easy read, but relatively boring topic. You should complete ethics faster because ethics is not about being a good person. It's about understanding the CFA Institute specific standards. And most of the students do not pass the exam because they fail ethics. You need to absolutely score above 70% or solve 70% of the questions that come in the ethics session to pass the exam. And it will benefit you a lot more by completing the theory part of ethics faster and getting into the mode of solving questions every day or every week. Imagine within 2 to 3 weeks, you are able to complete 30% of the curriculum, 10% alternative investments, and 20% ethics. And you will be able to keep these two topics in your rotation. What I mean by that is these two topics contribute to close to 50 questions, 31 and 16, that's 47 questions. Every day you can just keep on recalling and retrieving information and solving questions on the app so that by the time you have your exam, you have seen all the possible patterns the CFA Institute can throw at you from these two modules. Imagine being confident of solving 50 questions on the exam within the first month of your studying. So that's why we have it on the MasterCFA app in a similar fashion. We have alternative investments first, and you can see there are the 7 modules that this volume has. Then we have ethics module, and there are the 5 modules. Another important feature in the MasterCFA app is the importance of each module. So we are trying to maximize your return on study time invested. If you look at the ethics module, you'll see the lightning bolts near each LM. LM is basically learning module. The lightning bolt, which is purple in color, which you can see near LM3, the purple lightning bolt signifies that this is a high value module and you can expect a lot of questions from this. The lighter green modules, such as LM1, you can even leave or skip if you do not have time. And the other ones are medium importance. You can expect a couple of questions out of them, but the purple ones are pretty important. And you can see this across all the volumes that we have. So this is our recommended study order because we want you to maintain motivation throughout your prep. I've seen a lot of candidates stick to the weekend mode of study where they'll try to put 3 or 4 hours on a Saturday or a Sunday and then nothing. What happens in this case is by the time the next weekend comes, you would have already forgotten whatever you studied the previous weekend because that's how mind works. Throughout the week, you will be busy in a lot of activities and you won't be revising it and you will forget everything that you learned. What you will do is you will probably reread or rewatch the content and build some familiarity with the content instead of mastering it and putting it into your practice mode. So this is our recommended study order. You should start with alternative investments. You would have completed 10% within the first week. You then move on to ethics. You will complete close to 20% within another week or two, depending on how fast you are able to learn through these things. And then you should move to what we call the accounting or the quant stack. So let me show it to you on the app. If you are a candidate with accounting background, you should move to the quant stack. What do I mean by the quant stack? It is these three volumes: quantitative methods, fixed income, and derivatives. Why do we recommend this? Because you are already high on momentum from completing the first two modules. And if you have an accounting background, these three topics are very new to you and will be the most challenging for you to learn. So, this approach uses the Goldilocks principle of learning, challenging enough to engage you, but not so difficult that it demotivates you. You start with your weaker stack while you're riding high on momentum from the first two modules. And similarly, if you are a candidate with a quantitative background, you need to start with the accounting stack, which is financial reporting and analysis, equity investments, corporate issuers. The beauty about these stacks is that they have high interdependency. Anything you learn in quantitative methods will be utilized in fixed income and your derivatives volume. Similarly, in the accounting stack, anything you learn in financial reporting is directly used in equity and corporate issuers. After you are done with this, you need to switch the stacks. So if you are doing account stack, then move to accounting stack, because now you will be in your comfort zone. By doing the tougher stack first, you can keep those volumes and learning modules in your rotation. That way, you are maximizing your scoring potential, because first you have alternative investments and ethics, which you need to absolutely master. Those 50 questions, anything comes on the exam, you are not going to miss. Then you have your tougher stack, which will probably require a little more practice than your comfort stack. So you need to keep practicing the questions from those stack, and that's why we do it earlier. And then you move to your comfort stack, where you can practice relatively lesser also, but still pass. Lastly, we have economics and portfolio management. Now, these topics we have kept for last, because once you have understood the financial intermediaries, financial instruments, now it makes more sense to layer upon the macroeconomics and microeconomics so that you can appreciate the nuances of how financial analysis really works. Now you will be able to see how demand and supply and the various monetary policy or fiscal policy changes affect the choice of decisions you make. Lastly, we have portfolio management. You will be able to appreciate portfolio management more, because you will be able to see how these asset classes can be allocated to generate superior returns and how portfolio managers actually do it. So that's why we'll do it in the end, because it will provide a very good overview of how to use all the previous volumes that you have studied into building a portfolio. So after you have understood what to study, now the important part is how to study. I've seen a lot of candidates studying passively, which means they'll start reading from page 1 of the book, or they'll just start watching a video passively. That is not how you should study. So you are an adult learner and you already have a body of knowledge. You have studied for close to 20 plus years, so you know something about finance, about maths, about other things. It's important for you to start finding your gaps and filling them up and connecting the dots. So in order to do that, each of our playlists is structured in active learning methodology. We don't want you to start by just watching a video. So we want you to start by getting a curriculum overview and setting a benchmark of what you already know. How do we do that? This is called pre-learning. You need to see what are the learning objectives from that module and what is the summary. So we want you to be in a mode where you are actively trying to find answers instead of passively trying to consume content when you actually start watching a video. How do we do that? You can read through our active learning approach in each playlist that we provide. What that means is that every module that we have, we will first show you the learning objectives, and you also have note taking capability in the app. So when you see the learning objectives, you should make a note of what you understand from it. Why this is important is it will help you formulate or articulate your initial thinking about the topic. Now, the CFA curriculum is very well structured, and each module has learning objectives, which, if you master, you will be able to pass the exam. It's as simple as that. These learning objectives will have theory related topics such as describe features, etc., which you can see here. They will also have calculation based objectives such as analyze and calculate time value of money or something like that. They will also have compare and contrast based objectives. From the exam point of view, the institute will be testing you not on theory but on calculation based objectives and compare and contrast based objectives, which are more analysis focused. So, if you are able to articulate your thinking on these learning objectives, you will not only be able to pass the exam but also build your finance lingo. How this will help you is during your interviews, when you are sitting in front of a director or a partner, you will be able to speak and articulate your ideas better because you did the activity every day for each and every learning objective. So you can take the note for this in the app. When you go to a module, you have notes where you can create notes, or you can make it on a Google Doc as well. But it's important for you to actually do it. So let me show you an example. Let's say I do not understand anything about the curriculum and I see this learning objective: compare direct investment, co-investment, and fund investment methods. My initial thought process needs to articulate what this means, even if it's in basic English. So I can probably just write down alternative investments are divided into direct investments, co-investment, and fund investment. Direct investment is where you directly invest, co-investment is where you invest with somebody, and fund investment is where you invest with a fund. I'm just directly extrapolating the English language meaning of it. I have not added any technical terminology or jargon, but that is my initial understanding. Now I have a starting point. When I start reading the content now, my brain is now actively trying to fill the gaps or find out more information about this learning objective. That's what we will do next. You will also have summary available of the learning module before you start. It gives you in a very succinct manner what the author of the module wants you to know. So for example, this is the first learning objective: describe features and categories, compare direct investment, and describe investment. Reading through the summary, you need to actively start updating your knowledge. So let's say I'm going through this. I understand, okay, alternative investments attract investors through this thing. These are the common features. These are the main categories: private capital, which includes private equity, VC, private debt, then we have real asset, then we have hedge funds. So there are three main categories: private capital, real assets, and hedge funds. So just based on this, my LOS summary now is much more improved. Now I understand more. What you're doing with this activity is also becoming accustomed to the keywords that you need to know to understand this module. There might be many things which you do not understand within the first go, but now you know what you do not know. And when you are looking at the video or reading on the PDF, you will be able to search for those terms specifically and get the answers. So this is essentially what pre-learning is. You're priming your brain to start looking for answers instead of passively trying to study and find out what is important, what is not. After pre-learning, now you know the author's viewpoint, what he deems is important from the exam point of view. The next part is practicing. You may be wondering, why am I practicing questions when I haven't learned anything? But that is a fallacy. You have already learned something, and you will be surprised to know that you may be able to answer some questions. Another important aspect of this exercise is you already know the keywords that the author feels important. When you start practicing questions, you will get to know the patterns or the questions that the examiner feels are important. Both of these things may not be always aligned one to one, because sometimes an author might focus on a topic explanation more, whereas from the exam point of view, only the calculation aspect of it might be important. So you will have a 5-question quiz before you deep dive into watching a video. This will help you establish your initial benchmark. So let me show you how to do the quiz. So right now I'll just attempt it to keep the video shorter. I'll mark all of them as A. You can see the quiz has varied lengths of questions and it is testing you on a lot of different topics that are essential from exam point of view. For example, this is a question. Previously we had a compare and contrast one. The goal of this quiz is to find out your strengths and weaknesses, match them against the important learning objectives from the exam so that we can level you up faster. Our goal is that you should be able to answer all the question patterns of these learning objectives so that you pass the exam. So I'll continue marking A in all of those. So you can see I got 2 correct just by luck as well. And that is also part of the CFA exam because there are only 3 multiple choice options and there is no negative marking. So just by sheer luck, you have a 33% chance of getting the question right as well. But the important point to highlight here is that you won't be able to see the solutions right now. You just know that you got 2 correct or 3 correct or 0 correct. This is important because after studying, you will be able to see how much improvement or return on time you actually got. And you will be able to match the solution from your understanding as well. So now you can move to the learning part. You are now primed to look for answers from the pre-learning phase and the practice phase. Look at these video links. You can complete these lessons if you are commuting, if you are having a coffee break. So your learning needs to be continuous. And since it's on the mobile, you can learn on the go anywhere. Now, after you have gone through these videos, we will show you the quiz again. Let me show you, walking through it quickly. I do not know the answers, but I may get a bad score on this, but just for the sake of showing you, so I again got 2 correct. But now I have an option to review. So you can see you will get the detailed answer explanations to each and every question that you had in this way. And you can always go back and see you had 2 questions correct and afterwards you got whatever number of questions correct. Let me show you a quick example of how it looks like on the web app as well. So on the web app, you can see in another profile, I had only 1 question correct and then I got 2 correct. So this is a 20% improvement within a 30-minute time period. Like whatever is the time period of the playlist that you did, imagine being able to solve 1 extra question within 30 minutes. And obviously, I was just marking the answers randomly. If you are actually studying, you will be able to push this score from 1 correct to 5 correct because you will be able to solve those questions after you watch the videos. When you see that within 30 minutes, you are able to go from 0 to 100%, you will get the familiar dopamine kick that you usually get from watching reels as well. You will become addicted to learning in this way. You will be surprised that you can do a lot more in 1 hour of active learning session versus 3 hours or 4 hours of passively watching videos.